Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi Thorn Alliance. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Luke.
And in today's video, we're doing a review for Secret Invasion. Is it the worst Marvel show on Disney Plus? Find out and like and subscribe.
So, Secret Invasion on Disney Plus, we both recently finished it. We were extremely hyped about this show from the trailers, been looking forward to it. We believe it's going to really set up what's going to happen moving forward in the MCU. Did it live up to its expectation?
Did, with making everyone suspicious about each other, but in an epic way, no.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same. We'll obviously get more into that with the scores. So, summarise it for those that haven't seen it. What is Secret Invasion?
Secret Invasion is coming after the events of The Blip and Captain Marvel. So we have Nick Fury has come back because it's his mission to work out what are the Skrulls doing and planning. And then we get to find that out, and then he, throughout his own goals, he is set to destroy what the Skrulls want to do, and
Yeah, so it sets it up really nice. They decided that the Skrulls have since the 70s or so, when we first see Carol Danvers as Miss Marvel. They're living on Earth because they're being kicked off their home planet, and they have the ability to shapeshift. And we don't know who's who and have they infiltrated the highest levels of government around the world. Nick Fury, as you said, he goes on his solo mission to try and defeat them, and it's explained throughout the series why it's so personal and why he doesn't just call on the Avengers to help with this battle. And star-studded cast, what we've got: Samuel L. Jackson, Emily Clark, got Ben Madison. We got Kingsley Ben-Adir, who was just recently in the Barbie movie, so he's in a lot of big things currently at the moment. So let's get into the ratings and talk about why we gave it the scores we did. So what do you think about the plot, Jacob, out of 10?
I gave it an 8.5. I really enjoyed the mind games. Who can you trust? The conspiracy theory. Seeing Nick Fury go through this mission by himself, and also guessing who are the Skrulls, and really enjoyed it. But unfortunately, by the end of the show, we got unfortunately it kind of lost its way with rushing through the episodes, and we get a CGI fight that kind of changed what the show was about at the end.
So I gave it an 8.5 as well. On potential, this show could have been a 10. It really looked like it was going to tick a lot of boxes, but it missed the mark with a few things. It rushed a couple, didn't explain others well, and then I think where they went with the direction of the villain in the end was, one, over the top, and also anticlimactic. I think that the way he was defeated was a bit simple and underwhelming. So it could have, if it went the direction I hoped, and it was more about the who can you trust and the secrecy and psychological, like, secret war, like as it said, a Secret Invasion is going to be a secret war, that was a lot cooler than in the end they went with let's have all out fight and CGI battles, which hurt it a bit, but still 8.5 is a good score. What about the acting? We mentioned a star-studded cast. Did they do a good job?
Of course, Samuel L. Jackson nails his performance. This gets an 8. Really enjoyed his solo mission, and Ed Madison as an Australian, really enjoyed him. The acting, even though it's a superhero show, I enjoyed their performances. That's definitely the highlight of the show, and definitely would recommend watching this show if you are fans of these actors.
So acting for me was an 8.5. Samuel L. Jackson did a really, really good job. Nick Fury suits him. I feel like Samuel L. Jackson plays himself in every single role. And I think if you ever met him in person and he wasn't like that, you'd be disappointed. And he probably isn't. He's probably the nicest guy ever. But he comes across real stern and tough. So he played this role well for a character, Nick Fury, who I don't have much interest in, having not read the comic books. He made a character I was interested in. So I think he did well. The others were up to the standard you expected, but no real standouts beyond Samuel L. Jackson. What about the experience or presentation of this show?
This gets a 7. The presentation, the opening screen, that was awesome to see. the experience, was really enjoying the ride, and unfortunately the ending fell flat and kind of I felt empty and disappointed with that, but still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I felt very similar to the experience. I gave it a 6.5. It started real strong. The opening scene was great with the talks about the conspiracy theories of what was going on and questioning reality and who was who. That really set the scene and the tone for the series. And then as we started to work out what the Skrulls were up to and what Kravik as the villain wanted to do, that was really good, but then it just fell flat from there, and I think the direction at the end was just hurted a bit. The CGI didn't bother me. I think it was fine. People comment on the CGI quite a lot with Marvel stuff. It's fine. I think it did alright, but it was building something and then didn't deliver. So I think that they either cut scenes or missed the mark with that, and could have been maybe a little bit longer. What about the ending?
This gets a 7.5. I definitely think it could have ended in an epic way, but I enjoyed how it ended with not with humans just shooting Skrulls and kind of different things. It's very setting up the Thunderbolts for its next movie, and also seeing that the message with the ending is that even though you are two different species and two different cultures, you can still accept each other. I enjoyed the message there, but I still felt like they rushed the show with the ending and it needed some more time.
Very similar for me. 7.5. Ending felt a little rushed. I didn't quite like the direction they went. I've mentioned several times now. But I do like the message it came with at the end, and I like the fact that we didn't see just some cameos and someone just swoop in and save the day. Samuel L. Jackson did what he promised. He was making it personal. He was going to do it himself. And I do like that, without giving too much away, the kind of interaction between him and his wife and how they close off that story, or like explain it a bit further. So I do like that as an ending, but it had the potential of being a 10 and it only got a 7.5. So it's kind of a failure in my books for that.
Yeah.
So what about the originality?
For me, this gets a 6. It is a little bit low. Why it gets a 6 is because for me, they had something really special and then they just went for a CGI fight that we have gotten in so many other things before, and for me that kind of ruined its uniqueness. Like at the start it was doing so well with who can you trust, and then it lost its way. So for me it lost its originality, but it still gets not so bad of a score because it had something for it, and for that you need to reward it, but not too much.
So I gave the originality a 9. This is probably the biggest discrepancies in our scoring, because I think it remained original. It just could have been better, but it still was original. I really liked the concept of the secret war and a secret invasion, and it's just a bit different than superhero stuff. It's more on the realm of sci-fi, but it ties in with superhero worlds. I'm not the biggest sci-fi fan, so I like that I got a taste of sci-fi, but it's still in that superhero realm for me, so a 9. What about its audience appeal or span? How many people do you think out of a room of 10 would be interested in this show?
I gave it a 6. I think a lot of Marvel fans and Samuel Jackson fans would enjoy this show, but the typical person that is looking for a show would be confused with what's going on. Who are the Skrulls? Why should I watch this show? So I think some people would definitely want to watch it, but not everyone. So it's not up to, it's around that 5 to 6. Some people would watch it, but not everyone.
So I gave it a 6.5. I actually think that out of all the Marvel shows, this is the one that people could watch without have seen anything else. You will need some explanation around what the Skrulls are, but you could watch it and walk away and go, that was a cool concept, because you weren't thrown with cameos and flashbacks, and it can work. So I think more people than other shows would be likely to watch this or find it appealing. But again, getting people over the line to give it a watch is always the hardest challenge, especially with Marvel, when if you're not invested, it's a long slog to get into. So how recommendable is this to other Marvel fans, or even those that are wanting to dip their toes into the world of Marvel?
I think it's a good starting point. It gets a 7. For me, I like the uniqueness and that it actually doesn't involve superheroes. I like that it just involves an ordinary person, and it was really strong, but unfortunately it failed. But I still think it's worth watching because I think it's still good to watch. It has a reasonable understanding storyline, and I still think you can get something from this show even if you're not a Marvel fan. I think it's more than Loki or even WandaVision or other Marvel shows because it's just more political and more suspenseful. So for me, it's really good.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.5. I think those that weren't already a Marvel fan, I think I could get them over the line and say give it a go because it's not so fixated on superheroes. And those that are already Marvel fans, I think you might like it because it is refreshing to see something different. Whether it hits the mark's another story, but it's just not the same, which I think is something that I liked about Loki and also really liked about WandaVision, that they were just not the same thing. Origin story, villain, hero beats villain. We got something different, and that's what this is. It's a little bit different, but you do need to know a bit of background knowledge, which deters it a bit, makes it harder to recommend. How rewatchable or bingeable is this as a series?
For me, this is the highest score. It gets a 9. For me, it's a very bingeable show and it's rewatchable. The only thing that isn't that why it doesn't get a 10 is because they rushed it. For me, it needed 2 more episodes. But I would definitely recommend if you want something to binge, it's definitely worth watching.
Yeah, I gave it an 8.5. I would like to rewatch it just to re-clarify a lot of things. But it's not that it was confusing. It's just, I think the second time around you'll see something a bit different. And bingeable for sure. I think if you had the option to now go and watch it all in one hit, I think you could sit there and do it. The episodes are not too long at all and they keep you engaged throughout, so an 8.5. What was your final score, Jake?
Out of 100%, it gets a well-deserved, I guess, 71%. I don't think it's the worst MCU show like people are saying, but thought it was going to at least make the top 3, and I don't think it's done that. I think I'm personally feeling a little bit disappointed, but I'm not as frustrated as some people. So I definitely would recommend watching it, but I think you'll be a little bit frustrated. I liked that it was political, suspenseful, a lot of things, but it kind of lost its way. Unfortunately, went for a CGI fight at the end,
So I gave it a 76%. I think it was, definitely not the worst Marvel show. I enjoyed watching it, and I just think it seems like a fail though. I think it could have been a lot better, but it was still fine. I just think it potentially could have been significantly better.
Failed me for the last time.
Well, as always, like and subscribe, comment down what your thoughts are. Do you think it's the worst MCU movie? Be curious to know. As always, you're awesome and keep being awesome, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.